Hi, this is John with Fix It Planet, back from a very long hiatus, several months, 7 or 8 months or so. Apologize for all that, been a lot going on. Well, we're just going to jump right back into it. This is a Note 10 Plus. That's the Galaxy Note 10 Plus N975U. And what we have is essentially a broken screen. Everything else is perfectly fine. We're going to go ahead and remove this back cover. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and put some tape across it. It's just packing tape, clear packing tape. And this will just help to prevent any scratching or gouging or anything else from happening while we work on it. You can kind of see there was where the break was. Well, that's interesting because for some reason the edit... Oh, I see. I'm sorry. We're actually just showing the... what we're going to do is take this housing and assembly and screen, which is all included. This is a genuine Samsung part, and we're simply going to remove the back off of this old one, and we'll reuse that. So we want to try and keep this adhesive intact. We don't want it to break up. Just to give us a little bit of help, we're going to put a little bit of alcohol. And I actually use 100% alcohol, or if you want to argue about the existence of 100% alcohol, you could say 99.99% if you prefer. That actually does not really penetrate much, I'll be honest with you. So how effective that is at this particular stage is kind of debatable. It does seep in a little bit, so it doesn't hurt. If the screen itself is going to be replaced, then alcohol is perfectly acceptable. When we go to run this heat on it, it's just going to evaporate anyway. So probably that step isn't really necessary. Gonna remove the pen, and we kind of have different tools, and now we don't really have to use a suction cup or anything. We can simply cut into that adhesive and start using the. Now here's where the alcohol can be useful. Once you've actually got a gap started, you can get a little bit of that in there. Now, if you intend to reuse the screen, I would not recommend using the alcohol. It's a very thin, steel, flexible tool that cuts through the adhesive quite well. And what we really want to do is cut through one side of the adhesive. So we don't want to, when we start to cut, we don't want to remove it. We simply want to continue to cut until we can't cut anymore. There is adhesive further in, so we have to run that tool deeper into it. And we'll use the alcohol to help assist us a little bit so that it doesn't stick so bad. The foam was actually placed on a preheater to begin with, and then we used the heat gun to sort of demonstrate a way in which you can also do that at home. In this particular case, some of the older models, like the 8 and the 9, They actually have, and that's the Galaxy 8 and 9. Some of the Notes may also have a cable that plugs in to the back for a fingerprint sensor in the back. In this particular case, we don't have anything like that we have to worry about. So you do need to be mindful of where things are located so that you don't dig into them with a metal tool. So always try to watch videos like this all the way through before you attempt any sort of repair on your own. This way you'll know in advance where things are located on the inside, and it will make it a little bit safer. Basically, all of that is in good condition. We've not really damaged it to any serious extent. The new housing, so we'll be able to reuse that, no problem at all. The screws just have to come out now, and there's a few of them. I didn't count exactly how many, but you might want to count them. Basically just a Phillips head screw. They're all exactly the same. Just like all the Samsung, Galaxy, and Note series phones, not all of the screws will just automatically come out with the magnetic screwdriver. So I just get them out as far as they'll go, and then I come in with the tweezer and pull them out. Now we do have this metal bracket, which is kind of unusual, and of course the regular antenna caps and so on, the NFC antenna, and the battery cables under there. We're going to take those out to get to the rest of the phone. That's the battery connector. Always pay attention when you're disconnecting the battery. There can sometimes be small capacitors or resistors or other components that might be in and around or near that connector that you could actually break off using any kind of metal tool or other tool for that matter, including a fingernail. So pay close attention there that you're not digging into the board when you remove it. The battery does have to come out, and especially this particular case, we don't care about the display assembly. We can just go ahead and use the alcohol. And that alcohol, as it soaks underneath that battery, will help to dissolve some of that adhesive, make it easier to remove. Now this whole piece here is the charging port assembly. It's got microphones and other things on it, so be very careful with that. Don't forget to pop out the SIM tray before attempting to remove the motherboard. I struggle with exactly where is the best place. There is no particular spot that is, the most ideal necessarily. Mainly, it's just kind of whatever you have to do to get it out without doing damage to the board. You can see that's the front-facing camera. Go ahead and get it out of our way because I think it's sort of hindering us a little bit. A lot of rear cameras there, and the motherboard is actually quite small. We do want to keep our mat clean so that no debris could cause scratches or other damage to the new display assembly. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for this to soak before it will come up that easily. So if it is giving you some trouble, it doesn't want to come out, don't force it, don't bend it. You don't need to do anything like that. Just put a little more alcohol and soak it for a little bit longer. What we're going to do is put a little adhesive down so that when we put the new battery in, or the old battery rather, into the new housing, it'll have a nice secure, it'll be nice and secure. Whenever you're putting this motherboard back in, just be sure that you're not putting your fingers on the camera lenses. If you do actually happen to touch it by accident or something like that, you can use a cotton swab, a clean cotton swab with a tiny bit of alcohol, and you can clean those lenses and then use the other end of the Q-tip or another dry, clean one to dry it off. It may actually appear that I'm touching them, but I'm really not. My fingers are definitely not touching the lenses. It obviously looks a lot like we're just touching all over it, doesn't it? So when we go to put that motherboard back in, we just want to make sure that everything is back exactly where it goes and that it's fully seated all the way down, that it's not in some way sticking up anywhere. It's laying nice and flat in the housing where it belongs. The bottom one, where the charge port is located, that can sometimes be a little bit tricky to get it all the way in. So just kind of pay attention there. Make sure that everything is seated properly. Everything should line up. Now this is the first of 6 projects that have been basically already filmed. We did buy some new equipment to kind of help give us a little more flexibility. So for the most part, we should be back permanently again instead of being out for 7 or 8 months. We should be able to upload much more frequently now. At bare minimum, I would like to at least do 1 a month, although I can't say for sure I would be able to manage it, but I don't really want to do anything less than 1 a month. So if possible, I'd like to do that much at least. And if we can do more, that'd be great too. So we're going to try. We're going to try to do more. But for sure, we'll try and get a minimum of at least 1 per month. And right now I have 6 of these videos, including this one, that are already basically shot. And I just have to do whatever last bit of editing or voiceovers or whatever. So I will start to release these through premiering or something like that. This one, starting with this one today, and then we'll follow with the others. I also want to try and do a little more. I want to try and diversify a little bit so that I'm not only doing just the similar. Basically, what we're doing right now is very common to what we have done in the past, and that's all good. We'll continue to do those things, but I really am not very good at unboxing videos. Those are pretty brutal, but I have at least a couple. One in particular that I just did recently, and another one that has a bit of a review attached to it. So it's more like a review more than an unboxing, but we'll do a little bit of both there. And that as a work in progress. I'm going to have to work on that to try and improve that a little bit, but we're going to at least attempt it. And so I have a couple of those that we'll be uploading. And I'd also like to show a bit of my workflow during the day. I don't really have anything set up yet to do anything live. We might do that eventually, but at this particular point in time, it's just easier for me to control what's actually going on, not only in the video, but what's going on around me. If I'm doing them live, I would have a lot less control, and it would probably be boring. But we might be able to integrate something like that in the future going forward. We'll see. But for the time being, I'm going to continue to do basically what we've been doing all along. I just want to add something to that. For example, the unboxing or review here and there. Occasionally, we also do rescue. So we rescue animals. We do have a 501c3 that we've started up here recently that will be developing as time goes by. So I may reference that from time to time. Now there's a exclamation point down there because the back's not on, and this cable is probably no good. I'm pretty sure the cable in this case is the problem, not the back. Usually the antenna caps, if they're not in place, you might get it overheating or some other message. In this case, that cable is bad, so I'll bring another cable over later, and we'll use that. So there are a couple of videos on here that might have to do with animals, but in general, we're going to continue to stick with our topics around electronics repair. With the occasional pet video that might be tossed in for good measure. We might do some, like I said, these reviews fairly rarely at this point, and possibly some unboxing as well. So hopefully you found this video useful, and kind of just reintroducing ourselves once again after a hiatus of 7 or 8 months. And we will see you soon. What we're going to do is put some primer. Now this primer is going to really help a great deal. This is a brand new surface, so it's not like we have to clean it or anything. It's brand new. So we're just going to put the primer on all the areas where the adhesive is going to make contact. And that's the original adhesive that came with the unit. We didn't have to replace it. It's still in good condition, and we have not damaged it. So basically, for all intents and purposes, once we put this back and seal it down really well, it's going to be like nothing ever happened. So for all intents and purposes, this is going to be like new again. And hopefully you found this useful. And I'll let this video finish out, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye now. Oh, by the way, I want to thank you for watching, and I also want you to check out our Patreon account if you can. Find it in your heart to help support us. We would appreciate it. This is the good USB cable. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.